Stokey with Mastermind Games, back for more Kill Team Rogue Trader with Knosso Prond of the Elicidian Starstriders, and Prond is a Death Cult assassin. I'll start with Marine Teal 09077, who has been expelled from her temple until she slays members of 1,000 different alien species. And thanks to her association with Lucia Vane, is well on her way to that goal. Not allowed to return to her temple, not allowed to utter a word until mission accomplished. And so I'm going to have her match the rest of her team. So outside of being skilled with a sword, she also has a dart gun in her mask, which uses poison darts that automatically wound on a 2-up unless the target is a vehicle. Now this is kind of weird. This kind of ribbing is common on armor, but right over the butt cheeks, that's a little different. So you know what? I'm going to do it this way, I think, because there's around the neck. There's no skin showing on her, but her hair is exposed. That is kind of a weird detail, I think, but it's going to roll things. Okay, now Rosy Skin 09068. Getting the severed head of her victim here. Probably something she dredged up out of the engine room during the killer pox infected's outbreak. And Driftwood, or Woodstain Shield Brown, there we go, 09161. I had to think about how I wanted to do her hair. The photos in the mini codex show her with an almost purple hair, but I'm going to do something a little more mundane, I think. Okay. And I think I'm going to go ahead and let that dry for a bit before I move on, but that's a start. If I can get my camera to cooperate anyway, there we go. Okay, next up, Chaotic Red. Get the fletching on the darts. And the rest of her armor. This kind of armor is Warhammer 40,000 in the books anyway, is consistently described as a lightweight body glove made of what's the word I'm looking for? Strong materials that is on par with flak armor used by the Imperial Guard. I think they have a 5-up armor save, and so does Prond here. She also has a 5-up invo save due to reflexes. They're described as, I believe. And then go ahead and get this sort of case. Which would make sense if she has a dart gun located in her mask, in her mouth, to have to move her head over to her shoulder to reload it. And maybe I'll pick that out another color after all, but you know what, maybe I'll do the loincloth, the cloth there, another color as well. I'm kind of change my mind on a few things as I go, but that's fine. It's going to happen sometimes. Another thing this brings to mind is another comic on Warhammer Community called Roommates, about a guardsman trying to find a bunk to share with, in the employ of an Inquisitor. One strip is assigned to room with a assassin. Sees her playing with her collection of knives and simply says, "Nope," walks out the door. Let's see here. Yeah, that's good, except I will need to get the victim's tongue lolling out of its mouth. I think that's good for now, so I'll leave that as is and move on a bit. Getting there. Okay, so my camera's having a lot of trouble focusing right this minute. But whatever, I'm moving on. I want to get this done. Leather White 09062. Again, I'm making that same joke about Spaceballs. The more technology advances, the more and more it's turned out like a Mel Brooks parody, so I'm going to redo this case in the white here, just so that the fletching on the dart stands out. And I'll get the mutant's hair here. I'll probably play around with shading and highlight to make it appropriately disgusting. And the grip of her sword. And this cloth coming down between her legs here. There's a lot of things that are symbolic in Warhammer 40,000. To quote a line from the first book of The Beast Arises, I can't remember the title of it right this second. The Beast Arises being a series. A Space Marine commenting on a comrade's thunder hammer. The shape was symbolic. The effect was not. Stormy Gray 09088. Going to get her grenade. And I think I'll go ahead and get part of her mask as well in this. Okay. And I can take Uniform Gray. Oh boy, I am really having some focus trouble this time. Like more so than usual, oh boy. Alright, fine. Irritating, but it is what it is. So... getting the ruined architecture she's standing on. Alright. Going to let that dry before I move on, but I'm getting there. I just got my camera to focus a little better. Good gravy. Next, Gold Bronze 09107. Getting the hilt of the sword. This top plate on the mask. And I think I'll get the pins in her hair. Okay. Plate mail metal. Buckles in the skull. And the trim on her boots. Kind of working from the bottom to the top. Carefully picking out the trim on her corset. And just carefully putting a dot over each stud that I can see. Buckles on the mask and gloves. Trying to work one section at a time. This generator on her back. And on her shoulder, these darts here. The muzzle, the dart in her mask, and the eyes. And the dart in the head of her victim here. Of course, the blade. And she's got a little pendant right here. And then there's some decorative pattern on this cloth here. Okay, that's base coats. As that dries, I can start shading and go from there. And I'm dropping frames again, now for crying out loud. Focus. The only thing I got the focus thing fixed, it comes back full force. Oh, for crying out loud. Alright. Okay. Shading now. Blackened Steel 09205. Don't know why this is fighting me so much on the focus, but just when I think I solved the problem, it comes back full force. Frustrating, but I'm gonna have to deal with it. Thinning the paint with 1 part water, 1 part paint, making it into a wash. I'm gonna start with the trim here because this is gonna be the trickiest to do. Notice I'm using the fingers of my offhand to brace my main hand while I do this. Just going over the base coat. Keeping the brush wet. It's tedious work, and that's all there is to it, so. Okay. I can try to get the bronze, but this is going to be a calculated risk, so 09196 aged pewter. pigments on her hair, in her hair. Okay. Now I'm going to have to let that set for a bit to dry before moving on, but that's not too bad a start there. Okay. Matte black. So, we'll just see. Now, when we're using straight black or other really dark colors as a shade, you'll need 2 to 3 parts water per 1 part paint. Otherwise, this will muddy up your model substantially. So very carefully going around the mask here. In fact, I'll go ahead and let that get in the slits there. That'll help. And then grenade. Okay. And I think I can go ahead and get the white, so we'll in white 09061. So not worried about that spillover onto the teal and red because those are so much darker than the white. They'll come out fairly easily. I'm going to go ahead and get the victim's head now with Sun Yellow 09008, which should give it a nice jaundiced, disturbing complexion. Which will go on the hair as well as the flesh. In retrospect, I should have done that in the chaotic red. Do I have some available? Yeah, I'm just going to have to pick it out later. That's fine. Thin it out. Thin that out a little more, so I'm just going to take some water and just get it on there. And go on the tongue as well. The whole thing. The whole thing here. Okay, and then that's going to have to sit. Okay, next, Woodstain Brown 09160. And Red Brick 09001. Carefully going over the base coat here. flow around the studs. I'm trying to avoid them, but this is going to be a tricky part to do because of the very tiny studs there. So I have to pick them out in as a detail. That's fine. Okay, that's just going to leave the teal and the stone. So I'll let that dry. A little more on the inside here and the toe there. Okay, let that dry. Move on in a bit. Just about done. Okay. Deep Ocean 09076. I'm going to go ahead and take the linen white again, 09061, and touch up the hair here on the victim. Giving it a coat of the yellow may have been a poor choice. And Stormy Gray 09088. Might be a bit much there. Okay, that's shading. I can highlight when I can highlight when that's dry. Highlight detail, okay. Okay. Matte white. Do a quick detail on the severed head here. Make sure this is working. Just filling in the eye here. Now switching over to a dry brushing technique. I'm going to start with Surf Aqua 09078. ragged feathered brush. No water, straight paint only. Rubbing the excess out on the paper towel. It looks like there's nothing left. And lightly dust the area to be affected. Going against any raised areas. Refreshing the paint as needed. Let's see, Driftwood Brown 09162. Ghost White 09063. Now there's some severe backlighting here. I'm going to have to try to figure out how to fix that at some point. And I'm switching out brushes freely because I have quite a few that are suitable for this. But you do want your brush completely dry when you're doing this as well. Vampire Red. This combination might be a little too subtle. I have to rethink it, I suppose. And I just knocked somebody over. Next guy in my queue. Okay, so what is it? Uniform gray. Rosy Highlight 09069. Just plugged up. Oh yeah, that combination worked out reasonably well. Let's see, next, going to need True Silver 09207. Tarnished Brass 09198. Okay. Misty Gray 09090. Yeah, boy. Bit of a tangle here. And now matte black. That takes care of highlights. So switching to a flathead brush. Lining the edge of the base. Being careful around the feet and any other pieces that extend past or close to the edges. And now I need to let that dry completely before I can have the basing material, but that's the painting. Alright, basing. Mix of white glue and water. Must be clogged, it's kind of like that. Well, that's enough so I can worry about unclogging my bottle of glue later. Sacrificial brush. Now for base material, I'm using talus or rock debris. Use a mix of fine, medium, and a little bit of coarse. Just carefully painting around the feet. A generous application. And give it a dip. Push the excess off the edge of the base, and then taking a spare brush that's dry, just going to push the palace away from areas I don't want it, and this bag is going to need a little more solution. Push away again. It's better. Now I'm going to need to let that set for a while. I'll explain why in the next step. So, back in a moment. Last step, a spray or brush on adhesive. This is scenic cement. Glass eyedropper. Just carefully apply. If you don't let your basic material set for a bit first, this will just push it around and make divots in it. And use a glass eyedropper. This stuff will bond to plastic quick and gum it up. And there is Death Cult Assassin Knosso Prond. So, and my camera's doing weird stuff again. Great. So, continuing on with the Ellis City and Starstriders. Until next time, I am Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, signing out. Good grief.